yourself.
Okay, so my name is Jérôme Guth. I'm originally from France, from Strasbourg, and I'm the head coach of the men's and women's team for the Japan fencing team. The fencing career I started when I was 6 years old. Strasbourg is a hub for sabre, like it's a big city in France, like back in the days, like there are cities always like Tarbes, like Orléans, like Paris, obviously have a club, and Strasbourg, the club was led by my legendary coach that recently unfortunately passed away after a long life, successful life. But in cadet, junior, I was always having good results. I was in cadet and juniors, like traveling team, doing World Cups with the French team. And then around 20, I didn't pursue the fence later in seniors for different reasons, for academics or for, mostly for academics. Then I pursue my studies, my license and master's degree in chemistry and biology, but always stayed involved with fencing. I started refereeing at a very young age, because for me it was very interesting to see the other side of it and trying to, how even when you're a kid, when there's a bad call, when there's something like you feel so shocked and so sometimes depressed, sometimes angry. So I wanted to make sure that I could do that the best way I could, refereeing, and then I became a international referee quite early, like very very early actually, and stayed always involved with a high level of fencing in traveling to GP World Cups and World Championship and all this stuff. Then I moved to the US. To finish my I didn't go to the US for fencing at all. That was not the point. I went to the US to finish my master's degree in chemistry biology. I had an internship there, Penn State University, completely random to go to Penn State. I did not go there because the fencing program is strong. It was a complete coincidence. The Strasbourg University I was in had a partnership with Penn State chemistry department, so not fencing again. And I arrived there, and by complete chance, I wasn't the best at the time. Right now, it's not exactly the same way. But at the time, it was by far the best fencing program in the country. And then I got involved. At the beginning, I just went there to fence and have fun and just stay with the sport, stay in contact with the sport. And very quickly, they offered me an assistant coach position, I was young, I was 25. And there was not something I was planning on doing. That was not the path I wanted to follow. But I remember calling my parents and telling them, I want to do it 1 year, I don't want to regret it for the rest of my life because I really love that. And then I haven't stopped since. Since I've been coaching at Penn State. After that, I did 3 seasons with Penn State. Then opened with my business partner. We opened a new completely from scratch a fencing academy in New Jersey, where I stayed for 7 years. And then I got this amazing opportunity to be the head coach of Japan, which obviously I applied for the position, and when I got it, I immediately went there and finished the chapter of my life in America after 10 years and starting a new one in Japan. That's long story short, my fencing career. Sorry.
That's perfect. So you were a referee while you refereed at World Cups, European Championships, senior, junior. Yeah. How important has this been for your coaching, do you think?
So that's something that is really instrumental, I think. I don't believe you can pretend to be a good coach if you are not somehow a good referee. For me, it's completely correlated. It goes hand to hand, and of course, sometimes there's competition. We're passionate. I don't see a call correctly because I'm really into the match, or when I look at the video after, I was wrong. But when everything is calm and you're in practice, if you cannot referee in match and making no mistake, I don't think you can pretend to be a good coach. Of course, it's a very hard sport to referee. But I think I really did. I was a fencer, I was a referee, and then I became a coach. And I really think these three part of the sports helped me to build myself as a coach. And I'm trying to be a better coach, of course, every day, and I'm learning new stuff every day. But this baggage I have, I was refereing that first regional, then national in France, and international. So I've been refereeing a lot. Even when I was still competing, I was refereeing. I have a younger brother that was 4 years younger than me, so I was used to travel with him, and with the club we used to travel together. I was refereeing for the younger categories, So I've been refereeing a lot. I was refereeing for a long time, and it really helps me on the daily basis. Like obviously a little bit less today because I haven't been refereeing in a long time, but I believe when I started my coaching career, I was trying to always understanding the trends, pick up the trends, and seeing what was being called on the international level, and to use that with a younger athlete and make them successful. I think it's capable.
Great. And how do you think, what are the difference in skills needed for being a good high-level fencer and a high-level coach?
You have a very good athlete that became amazing coach. You have athletes that are not super performant on the high level that became amazing coach, and vice versa. So I don't think you necessarily need to be an Olympic champion to be a great coach. I think there is a skill that, of course, there are similar skills that you need to have, but it's more like in the analyzing part, I would say, or in handling the emotion of your athlete, and that's something you learn as an athlete too, handling how to win, how to lose, how to behave when that happens, how to behave, what we were saying before, when there's something unfair that is happening. So all that you learn you learn young, at a young age as an athlete. But then, as I mentioned prior, I still learn new stuff every day. So I don't think there is an ideal skill set, and everybody. This is the beauty of our sport. You can give a lot of chance for creativity. There's a lot of fencers that fence completely different style. You have a lot of fencers that are completely different size, height, and this is a combat sport with that weight categories, and this is I think one of the best things in fencing that anybody can adapt. An ideal set of skills for a coach, I don't think it exists. I think every coach is completely different, but yeah, you need to be serious, you need to be hard worker, and all that. I never had senior international level career, but in France it's a great country when you're in fencing school, when you learn that at a very young age. When I was under 14, then cadet and juniors, like you have all this competition, and it's very, very often, and this circuit, the cadet and junior circuit, and you learn all that, the discipline, being serious in your craft, in your skills, and I think this is, for an athlete and for a coach, is very important.
And let's say, for example, you are watching a different fencer, you're analysing a match, maybe you're going to fence them later on in a competition. What is the difference between how a coach will analyse this match, this fencer, than how is there a difference between how a coach will watch that or how?
Yeah, because I think when you're a coach, you picture yourself outside of the piste, and I tell very often to my fencers, I have a complete different feeling that I'm on the side of the piste than you inside the piste with your mask on. So you don't have the same point of view. You don't have the same. There are outside elements that you probably don't sense when you're on the piste. I'm talking about the crowd. I don't know, the crowd, the referee, or some stuff going on. But the fencers is really like the fencer has the tunnel vision on his 1 meter wide piste and looking at his opponent in front, and vice versa. The fencer on the piste sees stuff that I probably don't see because of just the difference of point of view. So I think you don't have the same approach when you are on the piste and when you're outside of the piste, and if you can develop a connection between you and your fencer where you're on the same page, having a different point of view, then I think this is when it matches, and then we can analyze the match correctly. And that's something that is a little bit that was a little bit hard at the beginning with the Japanese team, but I really like to communicate. Like, okay, so what do you feel? Because I see this, but you see that, and like, so how can we make it better? Tell me what you feel, I think an exchange, communication is very important, and comparing what you see inside and outside the piste, and then handling the situation. Who is the referee? Where is the opponent coming from? I don't truly believe there is like big fencing schools because now like the coaches are from different countries, international coaches in different countries, and especially in the US. You can always say, okay, you're fencing, like, someone from Italia, they're going to do that. From Korea, they're going to do that. Like, it's you have a trend, and So, and yeah, obviously when you're a coach now, I'm older than when I was a fencer, so I have much more experience than when I was 20. So yeah, all that, but most importantly, communication, how to analyze.
And how difficult is this communication now that you're with Japanese fencers?
So I don't speak Japanese very well at all. However, when I first started, I had a translator for 3 months, and so I really did my homework. I'm not planning on reading Japanese or speaking Japanese correctly. However, I really did a thorough work of fencing vocabulary. Like I'm trying to be. I believe I can say more or less everything I want, anything I want during a fencing match. I manage. So, and of course they sometimes they make fun of me, or my Japanese is bad. But we've been together for 2 years now, and they know exactly what I mean. So there's no more during a fencing match. There's no more misunderstanding. There's plenty of misunderstandings outside of a fencing match in a daily basis, or at training, at practice. But during a fencing match, at a key moment, I believe we are in phase right now.
So you coach both men and women.
Mm-hmm.
How are the two games different?
The physical aspect, the speed, the physical aspect, and the speed, the physical aspect. When it comes to tactics, when it comes to technique, it's very similar. It's completely similar. Not completely, but it can get very close. But then, I mean, I often compare fencing, saber at least, to tennis, because I think in tennis you can have like balls are going like insane speed, and some exchange can be very, very short, and they're mostly short in men's saber, whereas in women's saber you can have exchanges touches that are longer, like they would be in women tennis. The comparison is not ideal, but sometimes when I talk to someone that doesn't understand fencing, ask me what I do, and ask me what the difference is, I can use that as a comparison. Like men's tennis, they're gonna hit very hard, and it's gonna be like super fast and super spectacular, and like men's saber is, and women's saber would be more clear. Sometimes, I'm not saying for everybody, just generally speaking, it would be a bit slower, a bit cleaner, a bit. I don't know. Like I absolutely enjoy both sides, and at the training center we always do the drills and anything we do, technical or tactical, we do together, boys and girls mixing. But when we fence, unless we free fence for fun, but if we fence counting, they never fence together because. And then there's difference of sizes, there's difference of muscle, the difference of power. I just don't want a girl to be injured. So.
But do you coach differently in terms of tactics, like kinds of preparations you do, or is it mostly?
So the technique would be the same.
Yeah.
The tactics, the general tactics, what I want. Or sometimes when we have a GP and I'm having a speech the night before, what we want to do together, the boys and girls are fencing the same day. The general speech is the same. Then then when you get deeper in the tactical aspect, it's the game is not the same. Mostly in the 4 meters, like outside of the 4 meters, like the distance will be. Everybody has his own distance, but the distance will be the same. What would you do technically would be the same. The distance and the moments would be the moments, and when you have an opportunity to do something would be the same. So yeah, it's more of the handling when the referee says allez, like the start of the touch, preparation step, the size. So yeah, you have to make a little adjustment between boys and girls, but again, like it's the same sport. It's the same discipline. So I think we can have a general way of teaching it and of preparing for a competition, and then you go a bit more specialized, boys and girls differently.
And how do you approach coaching fencers who have a different style to maybe what you are used to?
So this is the first time I'm working with a national team. So the fencers are coming from different cities, different high school or universities. So they've been taught fencing from a different person. So I also have young kids that are in the beginning of the process of learning fencing. So with them, I can do what I want. I can do right now, like the youngest person that trains with us, it's a girl, she's 14, so she's been fencing for a while, but at this young age, you can mold her and make her do what you want, and it's going to be easier later. She already knows she wants to fence her whole life, and she loves it, and we will see, we never know. But when I have, I don't know, when I arrived in Japan, I have Yoshida Kento, when I arrived was 28, 29, he has a successful fencing career behind him. He's fencing completely differently than Kokubo Mao, that is 20 years old, or I have a lot of young boys running the team, and everybody fences a little bit differently. So right now, like for me, the big thing was also to try to fit them with what I want, with my fencing style and the way I want them to fence, and having a lot of rules. But try to not denaturate, try to respect their style and where they're coming from. I don't want them to have the same on-guard position. I don't want them to, this is what you do in a club when you start with 6, 8 years old, like you want them to be all the same. And then, but in this case, it was an adjustment for me too. And I decided to let them have their own style, their own creativity, and trying just to tell them, like to bring them my way of seeing fencing, and they like it or they don't. They try to execute or not, and some try really hard. For some of them it doesn't fit, so I have to adapt. But they adapt too, but I have to adapt, and it's a constantly like thinking about it. And mine is always working, but it's again, it makes it fascinating.
And what are the kind of things that high-level coaches are thinking and talking about right now that others might not be aware of?
Well, when we talk, it's always the same thing. Like, you know, it's what's happening. It's what's happening in the box. What's happening in the 4 meters. Like, I think it's been a long time. The FIE and the arbitrage hasn't been. I mean, of course they say they're dating and everything, but there is like, you can have the same action being called 3 different ways, and I think unfortunately it's killing saber, it's killing fencing, and it's making our job very hard. It's making the referee's job. The referee's job is very, very hard. I was on that side too, and it's very, very complicated. But I don't think it's suitable for the future. And we've always been fighting with fencing, trying to have it more and more on TV, and trying to bring a lot more sponsors, but still, we are in 2023, and someone that doesn't know fencing sits down and watches a saber match does not understand anything. And I don't expect the public to understand fencing watching the Paris Olympics. It's not going to happen. But at least saber. But I don't think we can continue having the same action being called, like I say 3, but sometimes even 4 different ways. Like, one time it's going to be simultané, one time it's going to be attaque contre-attaque, one time it's going to be attaque sur préparation, or one time it's going to be attaque non, riposte non, attaque non, riposte touche. We got to have something a bit more clear. And it makes it very hard for the fencers to adjust too. And I know for sure that fencers fence differently. The fencers right now are adapting to the referees, and I think that's wrong. I don't think the fencers should adapt to the referee. I don't think there's a lot of sports that's happening this way. I think the referee should be a complete standard thing, more or less. It's complicated, and again, I was on that side. That they have a very complicated job to do, but I don't think there is a uniform way, process that they have to follow. Like, it's just like they are doing it in fully consciousness. They're doing it the way they feel it, they see it. But 2 or 3 referees see it a different way, so it makes it very hard. And especially in a pool bout when you have 2 different referees. So you're fencing a match, and the match after, like a completely different way of refereeing it. And so we are at a stage right now where the coach and the fencer have to adapt to the ref. And I just don't think I don't think anybody can argue with me when I say that. I just think it makes complete sense that should be the least of their problem. They should worry about their opponent and handling their emotion, the situation, the stress, like not fencing differently because they're different judges. So fencing coaches, when we drink a coffee in the morning and we talk about that in between rounds, you say, we mostly talk about what's happening in the box. Like, I don't understand why they're saying that now. Like, what? It's when you get outside of the formulas, of course there is always room for argument, and we don't agree, and in the heat of the moment. But when you sit back at home and you watch the touch, okay, the referee said it this way, I can see why. I can understand why. Maybe I thought still was my touch. Yes, no, maybe, whatever. There's margin of error. It's not a pure exact science. It's saber fencing. But sometimes you can rewatch the touch 10 times and have 3 people disagreeing. Like 3 high-level coaches can disagree on the same touch, and it's also a problem from the rule book, simply from the way fencing is ref right now, is decided, and is even taught right now. So, and I just hope it's not going to lead to the death of fencing or whatever right now.
Yeah, just do one match.
Good.
Okay. So you've talked a lot about trends. You mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think are the current trends right now in what's going on in the box, or do you think it's a bit random?
What I said for the previous question, it's going to be always a different way to interpret a touch. But right now in 2023, I think there is more room for, and I love it actually, there is more room for attack contre-attack, and they call it a bit less attack sur la préparation, and they are punishing someone that is trying to do a strong attack. They're punishing, the hand mistake has to be big, which back in the day, talking like a old guy, but like a couple of years ago, like the slightest, smallest hand mistake was immediately attack sur la préparation. And now I think, in my opinion, there's a bit more room for attack contre-attack, and there is more referees that are calling attack contre-attack, and I think it's good for fencing. It's good for people that don't understand fencing. They just see someone charging because they don't understand what's going on. They see someone charging and going fast and big and strong, and someone waiting on their line, just throwing their hand at the last moment. Why do this person gets the point? So that I think is good. When the referee, this is not the proper way to say it, but there's that doesn't exist in the rule book. But when the referee says, a lot of times they say tous les deux attaque offert, or they both beat the blade, or I don't know. I think it's getting a little bit too much right now. Like there's people just staying on their line and getting a blade contact, getting a parade riposte, or this is also depending on who is reffing, like a blade contact is going to be a parade riposte, a blade contact is going to be, or they also say mal paré is nowhere written in the rule book, but it's attaque touche, it's attaque parade riposte, and you, depending on the ref, and this is the ref feeling, the appreciation of the ref. I'm not saying the ref is wrong, but same, like we should, there is no exact way of calling it, so the trends right now, like the most disputable calls are the attaque contre-attaque, or attaque contre-attaque, attaque sur la préparation always, or attaque offert, so they say tous les deux attaque offert, or someone is doing a contre-attaque offert, it's up, it's down the blade.
And what about the reprise d'attaque?
And now it's reprise d'attaque, but or attaque non, riposte non, reprise d'attaque.
Attaque stop.
Attack stop, okay, but then right now there is and some referees, some situation there is not even, we cannot even riposte anymore. Like, you didn't riposte no, wait, I'm going full speed back, I'm going back on guard and going forward. Like at some point you have to give room for the riposte. So, but again, this is very sensitive. These are lot of reprise d'initiative, so you have the initiative, like you feel that okay, you missed your attack, but the riposte is not coming, so you can start a new attack. So it's not necessarily a reprise attack, but what is fascinating and very interesting that fencing is constantly evolving and changing. I don't know. Recently, completely randomly, like my YouTube page opened and I had a match from 2008. What are you watching? So this is not even the same sport. So that I think is super interesting, and I'm not fully involved in any other sport, but I don't think there's a lot of sports evolving at this pace and completely changing at this pace, which makes it obviously more interesting. But maybe it's a little bit too much. Maybe when you watch a match, even from I don't know, two Olympics ago and now, like it's very, very different. Meanwhile, the fencing is the same. Meanwhile, the rule book hasn't changed. I mean, barely. So there's a lot of questions to be asked here. Like, why is it completely interpreted a different way? Meanwhile, the rules are still the same. So the trends right now are being made by the refs again, and we all adapt to it. But I think the trends should be made by the fencers. And this is what I'm trying to do with my team. I'm trying to do new things. I'm not trying to follow a trend. I'm trying to make them do their own trends. When Japanese fencer fence, they're going to have fast legs. So I'm trying to have them work a lot on a reprise initiative when you have a chance to attack, even though for ages we've been, I mean, you're going back, and for ages, like people say you don't have the priority, which is wrong too. But no, if there's a chance, if you can have the initiative to attack, like whether you're going back or going forward, we don't care. If you can attack, you can attack. And I talk a lot with my colleague Franck Baudin in Fleuret, and he loves when Fleuret is reffed as Sabre, and sometimes I love when Sabre is reffed as Fleuret. So it's funny because we talk about it like, at the training center a lot. He's a very good friend, and I value his incentive, how he really loves watching Sabre. I love watching Fleuret match, and it's cool to exchange with him, and it's an ongoing conversation. It's never going to have a solution, and it's also why we're having this interview now. Like there's always stuff, but this him.
But it must be the difficulty now is that say you're being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
If a person is bouncing on the spot 15
mm-hmm.
times doing nothing,
Mm-hmm.
as a fencer you have to decide, okay, now I'm going to attack,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to trust that the referee will give it.
And this is the whole thought, yeah. And is he bouncing in place? Is he going bouncing forward? Is he bouncing backwards? Are you catching him when he bounces up? When he bounces down? Like it's very, very tight. It's very.
But do you think maybe more established fencers, the bigger names, are able to force these decisions? Yeah.
This is the way it works, and then you have to work hard to get your name established. But I believe it's the same in any sport or any situation in life. But is it necessarily completely fair? No, probably not. But I think not only in sport, but in any other kind of business would be the same. So more of the story, you have to work hard to get your name established, and then you will get what we call celebrity calls. But at the end of the day, obviously fencing is my passion, I love it, and I consider it as an art sometimes, and it's a beautiful sport, and if you just respect the beauty of fencing, and you make it very obvious, you make it very clean, it's always going to be art. So at the end of the day, the only thing you can do is like go work as hard as you can and make the most beautiful fencing you can, and then it's all on. That's what I tend to believe.
I think that's a good way to end it, unless you have anything else you want to say.
No, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good morning.